nos da, pero cada quien.
Alright, guys.
Hello.
Welcome back once again.
I hope you guys find yourselves well,
cozy,
and ready to listen in, because this is going to be a motherfucking
episode.
Mm-hmm.
We're shooting for maybe an hour.
Yep.
Hopefully, so brace yourselves. Get yourself cozy. Let me get a few tissues. But yeah, this is officially episode
4.
Woo!
Pops the imaginary champagne.
But yeah, so let's get into it. This episode's name, or the title of this episode, is Calladita te ves más bonita. And for those if you don't know,
what Calladita te ves más bonita means, is literally in translation, you look prettier with your mouth shut.
Yeah. So growing up, obviously that's something that I was told.
Me as well.
I don't know for any other woman out there that has been told the same thing. It's basically a very machista saying. It basically says that, I mean, this is how I or how I think it is. It's you're only worth your physical, like what you physically look like. That's your only worth, and nothing else. And once again, like it says, quieter,
you're prettier.
Pero Calladita no me veo más bonita.
Period.
Because I'm gonna say what I gotta say.
No, I mean that's on period.
Yeah. I don't know if you would like to build on that.
My interpretation, or at least what I grew up hearing, and the context behind the word, again, it is a very machista saying, and really, like, let's be for real, I think it just stems from, and this goes for not only women but for men as well, because men have also been heard que calladitos se ven más bonitos, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it's been used by elders before us. I say before us, but you know what I mean, like older than us, as like a form of authority, as like a form to quickly like shut somebody up, because you're no one to be talking to me that way, because I'm older and because I'm quote unquote wiser and I quote unquote deserve respect. And that's just cannot be further from the truth.
I 100% agree.
Yeah,
it's like a sense of like control almost.
Exactly. And like a belittling.
Yes. And like I don't know, I feel like like when you're told that phrase, you're like, it also like limits women, like it makes them feel like you say, like belittle, like less than, like oh, like what I have to say doesn't matter.
Right.
And obviously Nat is right, like it has been used.
But there's many different contexts, though.
Yes.
I'm only talking about the context that I grew up listening to. But let's get into the real context behind what today's episode is about, which is in the context of abuse. So we're dedicating this episode to feminicide, or feminicida, and abuse in general that a lot like women experience, not only physical but emotional, verbal, and sexual. Sorry,
by
trigger
the way,
warning.
Yeah, trigger warning, by the way, which we will add before this, but yeah, trigger warning, because we are going to talk a little bit about those topics, and for anyone listening and for anyone that has been through that, we're with you, and we believe you, because that's one thing I feel like I've heard from women, was that they never really spoke out because they felt like no one was gonna believe them, like, or the blame was always shifted onto them, like, oh well what did you do? You know. But yeah, it's like I put it on everything. That's the same thing I've heard from every woman that I've that has experienced those things, they've all said, I didn't speak out because I felt like no one would believe me, or I felt I was made feel like they were not going to believe me, the blame was shifted onto me. So yeah, I don't know if you like to.
And aside from a lot of like predators, you know, because I think especially in physical and sexual abuse, you know, the perpetrator or the predator, they're always like manipulating their victim into, well, who are they going to believe? Are they really going to believe you? Like who the hell is going to take your word over mine? Especially if it's somebody of authority,
Of power.
Oh my goodness, dude. Okay. Right? So let's so there's that manipulation already. But on top of that, there's fear. Mm-hmm. It is genuine fear. And for the people that I know that have gone through a similar situation, it's been the fear of retaliation, fear of, like Jenny mentioned, not being believed, fear of, I mean, let's be honest, it can be embarrassing. Embarrassing embarrassing that mm-hmm. that happened, and some people even take in like this internalized guilt, like, why didn't I fight back? Why wasn't I able to stand up for myself? Why didn't I speak out? Like, it's embarrassing, and it can come with guilt and just so many more things that a lot of people, I don't think, really understand. Like, there's a lot of like internalization like that comes with abuse, you know?
And especially like, because that is what abuse is, especially if it's manipulation. Like, you almost feel stuck.
Yeah.
You feel like
and in a cycle, like,
and they do that to you. They trap you, and they isolate you, and they basically play mind games with you. Mm-hmm. And you know,
it's, dude, imagine like a child.
Yes.
Like as a child, and like that perpetrator manipulating them and like convincing a child, oh, like, it's okay, like it's nothing bad, you know what I mean? Like, a child wouldn't know any better, you know?
They would just, yeah, I mean, because but even that, like, a child, yeah, like, it, right? But even like people that are like vulnerable, and like there's some people that just don't know how to stand up for themselves, or don't it's just hard, like, you know, like.
And let's put, this is exactly why this phrase is so toxic as well, right? Like, we're not only mentioning it in the context behind abuse, but let's say, for example, there's a woman, right? And her whole life she's heard, shut up, Calladita es más bonita, by her parents. Imagine that same person goes through abuse, and in her head,
pues mejor no digo nada.
Pues no digo nada porque me veo más bonita así. I just won't mention it because, well, you know, I should just keep my mouth closed. How fucking toxic is that, dude? Like, she's been brainwashed her whole life to shut up, to not say anything, to not speak up, and then now she gets abused, right? And then people point fingers at her. Oh, well, why didn't you say anything? Mm-hmm. Well, I thought I couldn't because I would look ugly if I did.
And for them to be like, it's almost too like a sense of to be submissive.
Yeah. That's that. Yes. 1000%.
Especially, I don't know. I feel like, especially in our culture, I can only speak for my culture, but I feel like in the Hispanic culture,
because it is very machista.
It's very machista. Mm-hmm. Very, like, you cater to men. And it is true. Like older generation, and maybe some of this generation, but in our culture, like, they think like we are supposed to be in the kitchen, submissive, like, you know, doing, like, I guess, like, the domestic,
right, gender roles,
yeah, are like a thing.
Yeah. Toxic. Just toxic. And both to like, let me get my words right, y'all, because I'm already riled up.
Mm-hmm. And okay, so to give you guys context, though, the reason why we've been wanting to do this episode for a while now, Because obviously International Women's Day just passed on the 8th. That's also when Mexico has their marcha for feminicida, which is feminist. How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, feminicide. If I'm
Yeah,
not
feminicide.
mistaken.
Yeah.
So, like, the backstory to their march on the 8th is because instead of celebrating the day of women,
like Happy Women's Day.
Nope. It's like, psych. It's not really Happy Women's Day because we are still oppressed. Because we still live in a world that, like, my rights are not being protected. We live in a world that I am still fearing for my life every time that I walk out of this room. Yeah. And so the reason that they march is, to let me show y'all guys, because I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I literally did my research, y'all. So this time I'm not gonna say that you can't fact check me on this because now you can.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. So the march in Mexico is obviously called it's called AM. It's the AM movement, which is el 8 de marzo. 8 de marzo, and it's el Día Internacional de las Mujeres, right? Which, by the way, let me mention this, and it's just so crazy. International Women's Day, y'all, was barely officialized in 1975 by the United Nations. Ain't that some fucking shit, y'all?
That's like not that long ago.
No, my mom was born in 1970.
Exactly.
And she's 52, 53. Like, what?
My mom was born in 1971, to put that in perspective. My mom.
Yeah.
Not my grandma. My mom.
My mom, yeah. That is insane to think about, though.
Yeah. It's sad.
1975. Mm-hmm. Crazy. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that into the mix. So, the question was, why are they marching? Right? And the answer to that question is that they're marching for gender equality, igualdad laboral, which is like
labor,
workspace, because there is still more men that get hired for jobs other than women.
Just simply for the fact
that they're a different gender. Literally, for the fact that they are women. They are not hired sometimes. And for igualdad salarial, which is salary, because men still get paid a little bit better than women. And most importantly, for the feminicides and for the abuse. It's estimated that there are 10 feminicides a day in Mexico. And all of this is from el gobierno de Mexico, their website.
Y quién sabe si habrá más.
Porque... No, literally, this is just reported. This is just what they know of. Now imagine all of those women that have gone missing. And they don't know anything about them. They don't know where they are. They don't know where their bodies are. This is just the people that they have found and have investigated that has been a feminicide. Not to mention all of those that are not. Okay. Then, this year alone, y'all. Sorry, I'm just coming at y'all with the facts because all of this shit was so, like, interesting. This year alone in 2024, there was around 80,000 women that marched this year alone. Ooh. Which is incredible.
But dude. Sad.
Sad. It is sad. But so incredible.
But it's awesome to see how women come together for that and support each other, regardless of this and that. Like, I think that's beautiful.
Yep. So they marched, and these women march everywhere. There's been some marchas in Durango, in Mexico. I don't know if in your parts of Mexico as well.
Coahuila.
But this, where I'm getting this statistic from, is from La Ciudad de Mexico, which is in La Capital. And the reason that they were marching was para exigir una respuesta del Estado ante la violencia del género, which is like, violence against our gender. That's based off of sexual assault, feminicides, and all of that. It's become so, like, it's become such a routine for them.
Like it's normalized.
It's normalized. It really is. And because of like that normalization, let me just give y'all this statistic, y'all. And this isn't just in Mexico. This is in the whole
worldwide.
This is a global thing, y'all. Globally. In 2022, there was a like, I don't know what to call it, a statistic or whatever, from the UNWomen.org. In 2022, there was 48,800 women and girls killed by intimate partners or family members. That is an average of 133 women killed every day. And remember, this is just what's been reported and investigated. We don't know how many more women have died and that have been investigated and can be proven that it was because of a feminicide. But these numbers alone, which are insane, they are investigated and can be confirmed that they are from a feminicide.
So imagine that, but on top of the ones that haven't been reported.
Mm-hmm. And let's not talk about the sexual abuse, because that statistic is insane.
Insane.
Absolutely insane. I didn't get any statistics on the sexual assault, but from what I do know, it's ridiculous, y'all.
Mm-hmm. I do have the notes on
Take
that.
over.
So yeah, don't fact check me on that. Like Nat said on our last podcast, but
don't fact check that on me.
Yeah, so once again, trigger warning. For the people out there, the notes that I have here: women and girls experience sexual violence at a higher rate. So 1 out of 6 women, not 1 out of 30, 40, 1 out of 6 women have been a victim of attempted or completed R-word in her lifetime.
Which is rape.
Trigger warning again.
Trigger warning, sorry.
So 14.8% have been completely raped, and 2.8% have been attempted. So that tells me, if I put 6 women in this room right now with me, at least one of them has been sexually assaulted or harassed.
Which even then, I feel like that statistic is just not statisticking, because I can put 10 women in this room right now that have had some type of sexual violence.
And that's what I was going to say. I was like, it says 1 out of 6, and that's like a maybe.
Yep.
Because it could be all 6.
Yep. And again, these are just what's been reported. There are women in our day-to-day lives. I dare y'all, man. Well, maybe don't do that, because that can be like really triggering. But there's a song that's called Mineral Azul, and I sent Jenny the lyrics to it. Let me just repeat it back to y'all. Y'all, these lyrics shook me to my core. Give me a sec.
I want to say, by the way, my notes also say that as of 1998, an estimated 17.7 million only American women, not worldwide, 17.7 million American women had been victims of attempted or completed rape.
This was when?
As of 1998. So they didn't record before that.
That was 1998, which it hasn't even been like
that long ago.
Yeah.
Like I have friends that were born that year. Like, you know,
no,
like
literally
17.7 million.
We were almost born in that year, and I'm 23.
And that's only America, so keep that in mind. If you put that worldwide,
insane. Oh, let me read y'all these lyrics. Hold on. So the song is called Mineral Azul. And in her lyrics, she says, como una historia de terror que siempre te toca leer. Pregúntale a tu hermana, a tu madre y a tu hija y te erizará la piel. Literally, bro, like there has been so many women that have gone through this and have kept quiet for so long. And so again, these numbers are just of the really brave women that have came out and talked about it. But imagine how much greater that fucking number is because of, like situations where women can't or don't speak up.
Or the ones that don't survive it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Sorry guys, you guys are probably gonna hear like an abrupt stop in the podcast. Very unprofessional of us, but we had to put our computer to charge. But going back to what we were talking about, there's women that unfortunately don't survive situations where it's violence. I personally had a friend that also passed away of a domestic violence. As most of you know, if you know me, you know, of course, that was my friend. Unfortunately, she did pass away because of domestic violence. And I have said this on a post that it makes me angry that it hits so close to home, because I shouldn't have to be sitting here right now talking about I shouldn't have to sit here right now talking about any woman in that case, but I shouldn't have to sit here and be talking about I shouldn't have to sit every day just thinking about like what could have been for, or I shouldn't have to make posts about domestic. I mean, I know it happens, but I don't know how to explain it properly. None of us women should be a part of a post that's domestic violence. Especially, I don't want to say especially, but I don't know how to put it into words, because it makes me so upset. Like, none of us should have to be a part of that.
Right. But it did cut close to home.
It did, because we were out there. We had a protest for because it did seem like nothing was being done at the moment until her closer friends organized, and her family organized the protest outside of the police department. And after that is whenever it kind of seemed like it was moving. But being out there, I think, was like Nat says, it really did hit. It hit, and you open your eyes and you say that this is real. Like, you know it's real, but
unfortunately though, and this happens for a lot of people, and not just like, let me rephrase that. Let's be real, guys, and I'm a victim of this as well. I'm guilty of this as well. A lot of times, we bury our heads in the sand. Let's be honest.
Yeah, our heads are so far up our ass.
No, literally. And there is still, okay, let me tell you, there is still many people who willingly choose to keep their heads buried in the fucking sand. Right? And so again, I've been guilty of that as well. And until it doesn't fucking hit real damn fucking close, like, oop, kind of nicked me, that's when you start to wake up and say, fuck, this is actually something that goes on. Like, this is a serious fucking problem. And you've heard of it, right? But until it actually happens to you or a loved one,
you're like, fuck. But, and then that's the thing, though. Like, I agree with her, because, I mean, for me, and I don't know if I can speak for you, I've been very, like, woman, like, feminist, like, like, very supportive of that.
Right.
But I feel like after passed away, because of that, oof, like, the rage, that, like, feminine rage, like, just took, like, I've never felt that kind of anger before. I was angry before, but I was even more angry after.
Right.
especially because I go back to the blame, especially hearing how nasty people were getting with and talking about her on the internet, and it was nasty. And I'm not gonna repeat it, but it was like nasty things, almost blaming her for a murder that was committed by this monster. Like, you're gonna sit here and blame her, but you're totally not. It doesn't, like, it really, like, I'm sitting here.
Bro, like, you must be really fucking, like, far from reality. Like, you need to get some fucking sense knocked into you. Like, disrespectfully. Like, for you to justify a murder regardless of fault. Because let's say hypothetically we're not speaking about right? Let's say we're just speaking about a stranger on the street. Okay, yeah, he was walking out at 3 a.m. Does he deserve to get killed for that? No. Let's say he was out partying. Does he deserve to get killed for that? No. There is nothing that you can fucking say that is going to justify a fucking murder.
Because she was wearing this or that. Or, because, I don't know, fuck me, she was just having too much fun. Like, you know, like...
Yeah, God forbid, she's a 20-year-old actually living her 20-year-old life. Like, what? How far out of touch do you have to be to say some shit like that?
You must be very far. This is what I have to say.
It is beyond me. It is absolutely beyond me. And honestly, again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. My heart goes out to all of those who are mourning that loss and who are still remembered by her, like, remembered of her absence every day. Because, let's be real, people's death, they leaves a void. And my heart goes out to all of y'all who are still dealing with that and mourning that.
Because we shouldn't have to sit here and be mourning her.
Right.
She should be out there with her friends. And I do want to give a shout out to her super close friends. They really stepped up. That is what women do for other women.
Period.
They stepped up. They put on their fucking big girl pants and they stood up for Maddie. And seeing them come together, especially at the protest,
and her family,
and
her family, her mom, her dad, each, and correct me if I'm wrong, she had a stepdad as well, no?
Yeah.
All three of them, y'all, putting aside their fucking differences, their whatever the fuck you can say, her parents, both her dads and her mother, aside her brothers.
I think she had a stepmom too as well.
Oh, stepmom as well. Like, everybody was out there for her. And just a huge shout out to that, because God knows that if I were to be the one in that position where I go missing or I'm dying or I'm dead, y'all better fucking light this bitch on fire for me. Do you hear me?
Yeah. And I know for a fact, whatever you believe in, afterlife, wherever she's at, I know she was seeing that and saying, like, they fucking fought for me. Like, they fought for me. And I don't know, like, I
Y'all, this is tough shit, y'all. Like, even to, like, sit here behind a computer and, you know, like, y'all, this is real life, y'all. Like, this isn't just some shit that you see, like, in the news and, like, you're sitting at home in the comfort.
Yeah.
You're not, like, this isn't like you're sitting at the comfort of your house and you're in bed and you're like, couldn't be me. Well, you better watch what you fucking say, because this life has a really funny way of putting you on your ass. And I don't wish that upon anyone.
Yeah.
We don't wish it upon anyone. But how much longer are you going to sit there with your head buried in the sand?
And deny that things like that don't happen to women. And it does. And I'm tired of hearing people say, like, no, like, that doesn't happen. But it does happen. Didn't deserve to be thrown out there like trash. You know, she was a sister, she was a daughter, she was a friend. She had so much to live, like, you know? And for people to sit there and, I don't know, try to make excuses for that person that did that, it's you're just as terrible as the person that committed that crime. Just as terrible. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry.
But yeah, so shout out to, once again, her girlfriends, and even her guy friends.
No, literally.
Like, they were out there. Fuck, like, they were out there doing that, like, you know, and we walked for what, an hour or two.
Mm-hmm. And also shout out to everybody who showed up.
Yes.
Shout out to everybody who showed up. Because we live, especially where we live, we live in a city where everything is so hush-hush and, oh, don't do that because you're going to stir the pot. Oh, literally the definition of Calladita te ves más bonita.
Yes.
And we are sick and tired of it. We will no longer shut our mouths for your comfort. For your fucking comfort, while there is a friend, a sister, a daughter who is murdered, who is dead in your city. And you rather us shut the fuck up about it? For the comfort of who?
They had the wrong
For the comfort of who? Because it ain't my comfort. And it sure as hell isn't her family's comfort. Or comfort.
Her friends' comfort.
But you know what though? And I'll say this again. Those same people that are the type to be like, oh, just don't say anything about it. You know, like let whoever's gonna handle it. But I bet if it was you, and I bet if it was your children, or your mother, or your sister, you would have been raising just as much fucking hell. But because it's not, and because you're at the comfort of your own home, and because, oh, well, that's not me, and I don't think, I'm sitting at home, that won't happen to me.
You know what that's called, though? It's called being privileged.
Oof.
That's called being privileged and not knowing, like, what this ugly world is about. Like, you must be so privileged to sit there and say those words. Mm-hmm. Why are you going to wait for something horrible to happen so you can, oh, now I understand? Right. No, that's also a lack of empathy, by the way. If you guys don't know what empathy is, it's a lack of empathy. Mm-hmm. It's a lack of not being able to sit there and be like, damn, like, that is terrible. Mm-hmm. We need to change that. Yep. Or I need to voice something about that. I need to bring awareness to that. So if you ever sat there, and no matter what the topic is, if we're talking about Palestine, Gaza,
free Palestine, by the way.
Yeah, free Palestine. If we're talking about just right now people in the world that are going through a genocide, or women that are
feminicide,
the list goes on. And if you sit there and say, oh, that couldn't be me, or oh, I that's not what I believe in, or oh, that's too I hate this one. This one, that's too political for me. No, motherfucker, that's not political. This is human rights.
No, literally.
This is an empathy, like, crisis.
Imagine thinking that the rights of another human being is too political. Like, baby, what? You know why you say that, though? Because you have rights. Woo! You have your rights, huh?
Yes.
You're living comfortable, baby. You can wake up at whatever time of the day you want. Go have a little sip of coffee in your nice and warm apartment or house. You know, like warm food on your table. A fucking table to have a roof over your fucking head. So that's why you're not worried about it. But I bet if it was you in a certain situation, you would have really wished that somebody would have raised awareness for you.
And be your voice.
No, literally. But because you're not, you couldn't be more worried. You could not be less worried. Did I say that right? Less worried? Like, you couldn't care less.
You kicking
'Cause
up
it
on the
ain't you.
couch with the fucking drink, like.
Yep.
And I know I'm like being a little like comedy relief right now, but I'm actually like I'm actually bamboozled at that. Like, there's no way you're gonna sit there and, regardless of your belief system.
Talking about feminicide, y'all, I want to hit y'all with a little bit of more facts. There is a criminologist. He was a specialized criminologist, and he explains that feminicides happen due to the construct of social masculinity, in which where it's taught that to be a man is to learn how to exploit and instrumentalize women to their benefit. That one, it my interpretation of it, and I could be totally wrong, is that it's going back to the machista mindset, that the man is top power, man is the one that says si brinca y brinca, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I really got away from from what this man, and this is a man that said this. He was a specialized criminologist, and this was his take on feminicide and why it happens in the world that we live in. Is because of that patriarchy, that social masculinity. And then there is let's see, this is a psychiatrist, her name is Alma Dulce Garcia. She stated that it has to do with the machista and the patriarchal culture that we drag with us from centuries ago. In this instance, she's talking about in Mexico. Again, as we mentioned earlier, like, our culture is very machista, and so her take on that was that this stems from that machista culture, that patriarchal, like,
it's almost rooted in their DNA.
No, literally, yeah. In our DNA too, because there's so many women
that are
literally they have that internalized misogyny. They really do view themselves as less than because they are women,
especially in our culture.
In our culture specifically. And it's just so crazy because we say, oh, machista this, machista that. It ain't just for the men, baby, because
for the women.
Those women, they carry those scars deeply rooted. And again, I'm guilty, baby. I'm so guilty. I had that internalized misogyny as well. I had to take a long, hard look in that fucking mirror and say, bitch,
but because we were taught it.
We were taught that, yes, but it was up to us to unlearn it.
Yeah.
And as we did, right? But I don't know, y'all. It's just...
Growing up, by the way, I was a little feminist. I don't know. I think I was like, what's the word? Reincarnated or something. Because growing up, I just looked at some stuff in my family. I was like, ain't no way. Ain't no way I'm doing that. Like, there's no way I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. and cook breakfast for no man.
She said, not me, baby.
Oh, sorry. But I mean, by the way, if that's what you want to do,
go for it.
Go for it, because at the end of the day, this is about choice.
Oh, my God. Bro, no, literally, I'm so glad you freaking mentioned that.
Because it's about women having a choice.
Literally. There is so many freaking people out there. And I've been told it to my face. Oh, like, you're just such a feminist. Like, it's a bad thing. Like, baby, what? Like, I'm a feminist for you, too. Yeah. It isn't just for me. I'm doing this for myself and everybody else around me. And literally. Dude, I'm gonna get riled up right now. Bro, and, like, it's like, baby, why do you view that as a bad thing? Like, babes.
Like, I'm fighting for your rights, too.
Babes, let's wake up in there. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't just for me. Yeah. And they lean feminist, like, oh, yeah, fuck, man. No, bro, it ain't really about that.
Well,
it's really, like, not about that.
No.
Like, it genuinely is choice.
Yeah.
Because a few years ago, we didn't have a choice.
No.
Not long ago, baby. There was not long ago that women didn't have a choice.
My mom didn't have a choice.
No, literally, like
she was
people
6
don't realize this, dude. They don't realize that it's not about like, fuck, man, like, women are superior. Like, it's really not about that.
I mean,
am I gonna say that there's not people like that? Sure, there is people like that, but at the, like, they're those stupid ass fucking oh yeah, and I apologize for my vocab, but I'm really not. There's those stupid fucking videos on TikTok. They're like, I'm not a feminist, and I open the door for other people.
Oh my
God. Like, what? I'm not a feminist. I wake up and I make my husband breakfast. Okay.
Babes,
that's great. I'm not a feminist, and I don't mind cleaning my house on a weekend. Bro, what?
Or what is it? what is it? She said something like something about a card or something. Like, I'm not a feminist. I have like a debit card or some shit like that.
A bank account.
Babes, but you know who fought for those rights? Women fought for you to be able to get a bank account.
No, like, literally, bro. Like, what?
You
like,
were
they
not
don't
allowed
view
to
that
do that
shit. And no, and also, like, there's feminists out there that do that. Oh, no, she also said, she's like, I'm a feminist, and I don't mind wearing a dress. What? Like, what? Okay, that's awesome. Baby, there's feminists out there that also cook for their husbands. There's feminists out there that literally live by a Proverbs 31 women. If you don't, like, I don't know if you know what a Proverbs 31
know what that means.
Proverbs 31 is like, she's a freaking, like, she helps her husband, she's not idle, like, she's busy, like, she keeps herself, like, you know, she keeps tidy and cooks and cleans and prays, like and they choose that, though, and that's the whole point of being feminist, is we're fighting for a choice because we didn't have that choice before. Yeah. You know what I mean? And people don't really realize that. They only view it as, like, the ugly and fucking...
Which, by the way, I always view a man as a gun. You treat it like it's loaded. You don't ever, I mean, I have a few men, like the 1%. And also, real men are feminists, by the way. And real men know that when women say that, it's not directly towards those men. Because if you're lacing up that shoe, babes,
you better wear that motherfucker,
because it's very telling.
Like,
very telling.
Why? Okay, they're like, oh, like, they're stepping on my toes. Why your toes out? You got, ¿tiene cola que le pisen?
Literally.
Let's talk about it.
Because you sound a little bit like you're guilty about something. Ooh. You know? The men that support the whole feminine thing, that support women, that agree with what we're saying,
they need to get hit.
They know who they are. But you know what? They're not out here proving that. They're not like, oh, hey, I'm this. They just do with their action. Yep. And that's it. I'm trying to think of something else that I heard about the whole feminine thing, or feminist thing. I can't remember.
Yo, that's such a huge pet peeve of mine, though. Like, it is so freaking annoying to hear, like, oh yeah, but, like, aren't you, like, a feminist and stuff? Like, you don't want to talk about men? Like, bro, what? Like, your fucking vision of a feminist is so fucking tainted from, I don't know what fucking agenda it is that was pushed onto you, and, like, what fucking, like, screwed up, like, imagery you have of a woman fighting for her rights. Like, that's weird. But let's...
And that's something that I wanted to bring up. Because, and that's my witness, I'm very conflicted when I have conflict with women. Because my, like, my feminist side is like, dang, like, a lot of the women that I have conflict with have internalized misogyny. Oof. So, and it hurts me because I'm like, it makes me sad for them, because I'm like, dang, like, really, it's not really their fault. But then again, I can't really excuse them because they're with their big girl age, like, you know. So I personally have a harder time. I beat myself up a lot when I have conflict with women, because I love women. I really do. And that is my witness. I am someone that I love to bring the women that I have in my life. I love to bring them together. I like to create that womanhood. Now, if I have conflict with men, it's not hard for me to have that conflict. Like, it's very easy for me to say what I need to say and be ugly. Mm-hmm. But with women, because I respect them so much, it's harder for me to do that. Right. Because I'm like, fuck, man. Like,
it's supposed to be me and you against the world. Yeah,
like, you know, what? Like...
And for those of you that don't know what internalized misogyny is, because maybe you're listening to this right now and you're like, wait a damn minute. Is that me? You know what I mean? Like, you may be listening to this right now and you're like, dang, me cayó el saco a little bit. Like you may be listening to this and you're like putting on that boot, about to strap it up, and you're like, fuck, I think I'm about to wear it. You feel me? So internalized misogyny is, according to Google, misogyny is the hatred of, contempt for, or prejudice against women or girls. Women who experienced internalized misogyny may express it through minimizing the value of women, mistrusting women, or showing gender bias in favor of men.
Like the women that say, I don't really have like women friends, or I don't really get along with women.
Yeah, because all they do is just like fight. All women do is like bring jealousy and like blah blah. No, baby. I think you're just reflecting. Like you're projecting your own insecurities.
You're internalized misogyny, by the way, and you're probably hanging out with women that also have internalized misogyny.
No, literally.
And that's why
And that's probably why you think that.
Yeah, exactly. Because so far, knock on wood, knock on something. I don't know. You can also, right? I feel like I have created a womanhood where we are all on the same page.
I agree.
And because obviously we're not perfect. If there's something that we're like we don't disagree with, we don't disrespect each other. We say, hey, like I don't really agree with that. And
but granted, we've been able to create that place where we can speak out about a disagreement.
Yeah.
And are we gonna get fucking catty and fucking fight about it? No, babe, because you never was. It was never that serious.
Yeah.
Like you're allowed to have a different opinion, bro. Like it's really not that deep.
And you know what else though too with our little womanhood that we have boundaries. We don't overstep. We have girl code.
Big one.
We don't overstep certain boundaries because we respect each other. Like we don't go out of our way to like be like saying jokes, like say quote unquote jokes, and making the other feel bad.
Yeah.
Like you don't do that.
Like little double ended jokes, like
quote unquote.
Now, dude. That's just not funny.
Yeah, that's not what we do here. Like we genuinely uplift each other, and if there's any time where we feel like an off energy, like we try to like communicate that.
It, yeah. There's probably someone listening to that right now and be like, oh my god, they're so weak. Like, y'all can't even handle a joke. Like, no, baby, it's really not a joke, though.
Because jokes are supposed to be funny, by the way.
No, and that wasn't funny.
Yeah, like,
let's be real. Like, you're trying to slime me, and I'm catching on to that shit.
It's crickets over here.
But if you really have something to say, like, you could have just said it.
Yeah.
And we could have talked about it.
There's no need for no, like, arguing,
you don't gotta be slick.
Yeah,
you don't have to throw me a little sneak diss. Like, baby, if you got something to say, just say it.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with that. It's
that internalized misogyny is crazy. And you know what though? Like, and this is like going back to like piggybacking off of what Jenny said. It's really hard for, and I am gonna put myself in that as well, because I agree. It's really hard for us. I'll say that for both of you and I, because I'm sure you can agree. But if you can't, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. But whenever we see someone and you're like, babe, it's giving internalized misogyny. Like, it's so hard to blame them.
Yes.
It is so hard to blame them. Because it's like, baby, you probably don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, you probably haven't unpacked all of that, like, years worth of, like, misogyny that you've internalized.
Or they're too far gone.
No, literally. Like, too far gone. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to try to help you as much as you can, but you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. You cannot help someone who doesn't want to be helped. And that's the thing though, like I don't know if you can agree, I have been able to like jump that hurdle of like that internalized misogyny by myself. I educated myself. I did my research. I did the work. I did the shadow work, whatever you want to call it, and have been able to jump that hurdle.
Breaking cycles.
But you can't hold somebody's hand during that. You can't lure them in like, hey, come get this fixed. You can't do that. Like, they need to want to do that on the inside genuinely. And so again, but although it's hard to blame them, we can't excuse them. Because if you really wanted to get it fixed, you would have really, really worked on it.
Yeah.
And so if you're listening to this right now and you're like, fuck, that shit kind of hit a little too close to home, like, oh, me dijeron algo y ya me cayó el saquito, this is your sign to look into it.
Yeah.
And don't be ashamed of it, bro. Like,
eso. Yeah. I would be very, very proud. Like, if you sit there and say that, porque that's a start. To start taking accountability.
Yep.
And doing, like, the steps for that.
Yeah. And so I don't know, like, again, if that's you, I'm proud of you for being able to understand that, one. And two, I really do, I hope and I'll pray that whoever it is that's listening to that and is like, maybe that's me, that you really do the work. Do the research, do the work, Not only for yourself, but for others around you.
Yes.
Who knows? You may even like look in the mirror differently. You may like value yourself a little more because that internalized misogyny isn't only about other people, but it's about you.
Mm-hmm.
Where you minimize yourself because you're a woman and you're afraid to take up space and you're afraid to speak up. Baby, like take
up
pride.
space.
Take up space.
Babe. Like,
oh my gosh, dude, take up that fucking space. Because you deserve it.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. I don't think it could have been said better. Like, that's 100% accurate. And I'm gonna put that on a Google search. Everybody should just say, yeah. Just, and one more thing I want to add, because I know like this is something that I hear. Well, like, what about like men? Like, they also go through stuff. Yes,
They do.
They do,
and that's valid. Like, we're not invalidating that at all,
for sure. But also, the statistics. There's higher rates for women, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that what has been done to men
doesn't
count. But look at the statistics. Also, another thing is, oh my god, I just went blank. Oh, another thing is that a lot of things men don't come out and say it because they're afraid. Also, of the same thing: judgment, the fear,
the
embarrassment. But who set that up for you? For us, men, your own people set that up for you.
Shout out to that iconic lady, y'all. I don't know if y'all have seen it. I think it was on Jubilee.
But yeah,
I think it was a Jubilee video. I'll see if that's correct. But it was like I don't know exactly what their debate was about. Yeah. It was a debate against like women and men or whatever the heck. I don't remember. But he was like, they were talking about depression. He was like, what about men? Like, men get depressed and they have a lot of mental health issues too. A lot of more men fight in the war. There's a lot of more men that deal with that kind of stuff. There's a lot of more men that go through stuff and don't mention it. And that lady was like, and whose fault is that?
Who set that system up for you?
No, literally, why? Because it was the men. It's the toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna mention it because a lot of fucking I'm not even gonna say it. There's a lot of people out there who hear toxic masculinity and they groan. They're like, oh my gosh, toxic masculinity. Yeah, motherfucker, toxic masculinity.
It's you, babe.
And because you know what? It doesn't only affect women. It affects men as well. Because now men have to live up to this toxic standard that men have set. Those men prior to him set that toxic standard up. Yep. And now a lot of men are dealing with suicide because they're ashamed. They're ashamed and they are, ridiculed for going through that kind of stuff.
And showing their feelings.
No, literally. You're crying. You're a fucking pussy. Oh, you're showing emotions. Oh, that's fucking whack. Oh, you have emotions. Wow, you're a fucking pansy. Like, bro, what?
Like, get over that shit.
Y'all. No, literally.
Literally get over yourself. Like, it's
saddening. And you know what? Like, also, me and my stance and in my belief, I feel for those men, right? Like, we're here talking about women, but shout out to those men who I've also been oppressed by that toxic masculine, like structure. Yeah. It just sucks because they're not able to like breathe, babe,
Yeah. I agree. Trying to think of something else to add on to that. But I 100% agree. Until we don't bring down the patriarchy, until we don't bring down fucking toxic masculinity, just like those,
it's not gonna change.
Nothing's gonna change. Yeah. And it starts with you. You have a voice.
Oof.
I have a voice. You have a voice.
She's pointing at y'all right now.
Yeah, I am pointing at y'all. You have a voice to bring awareness. Don't be embarrassed. Who cares what other people think? Because at the end of the day, pero cada again. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
pero cada again. Y'all know. You know what? I'm gonna ask something. And to all of those people, because man, if I had a fucking dollar for every time that I've heard, oh well, what about your job? Oh, well, your job, like, well, what if you get fired? Like, what if they see your post? Or what if they this? Fire me. Literally. Fire me, motherfucker. Because, like Jenny mentioned to me last time, why do I want to work for somebody who is going to fire me over my belief?
That, by the way, us defending people and bringing awareness, but pop off, babes.
No, literally, like, what?
That's telling, by the way.
That ass.
I did say that.
Mm-hmm.
A la madre, fire me, porque
No, literally.
yo no voy a trabajar por alguien que no defiende a la gente que no tiene voz.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to be a part of it. If anything, I'm embarrassed.
Right.
You know, thank you for showing me your true colors.
No, literally, bro.
You know
Like,
what I mean?
like, you did the work for me. Like,
Babes, like,
God really, really listened, and He was like, I don't want to put you around these people who don't share the same values that you do. And thank you, Jesus, because you know you heard a conversation I didn't hear behind my back.
yeah.
So yeah, sorry I interrupted your statement. I just wanted to add that on too.
Yeah, I think
People having a voice.
I can't remember what I was saying.
And also adding on to people have a voice. I had been told recently that we were gonna get a lot of flack. Is that the word? We were gonna get a lot of like kind of iffies about our topic for today, because there is a lot of people, and there is a lot of people that don't agree. They don't agree with the 8M movements. They don't agree with the Me Too movements. They don't agree with any of those movements because, oh, it's too political, like you mentioned. Or, oh, it's just too, like, it's too crazy out there for me. and I was told, well, be careful with that because there's going to be some people that don't like it.
Do you
Pues cada quien.
Yeah, do you
Cada
think
quien, like si no te gusta, pues no lo oigas.
But that's the issue, though, with people. They care too fucking much what other people think.
I'm guilty.
I'm
guilty. I'm sorry. I'm guilty. I do.
Like, if you...
But we're learning. We learn and we grow
and
every
we
day.
unlearn.
Ooh! Hey, down.
But yeah, like, it's... You think I care if someone thinks, oh, like, whoa, like, you know, because I'm defending literal women that are getting killed on the fucking street on a day-to-day basis, that are getting raped, that are getting kidnapped, that are being thrown out in the fucking middle of nowhere like trash. Do you think I care? Babes, you should care. Mm-hmm. What people are gonna think about you for having that fucking thought.
No, literally.
Cause...
And so back to that statement, y'all, like, even in Mexico right now, the whole 8M movement got a bad rap because there was women who were tearing down national, I don't know if I'm using that word correctly, like statues, monuments, yeah, very important, like statues, monuments. They were being torn and damaged, and
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Sorry. And, you know, like, they were being damaged. And, you know, unfortunately, y'all really don't want to hear my take on that, all right? Nah, fuck it, I'm going to say it. I really don't care. Yeah, it sucks. It really does suck that it was being damaged. However...
I know you were going to say, too. You're thinking the same thing I'm thinking.
However, I really do feel that until push comes to shove... Sorry. Let me rephrase that. I'm gonna just say it al chile, okay? I'm sorry.
Damn,
I'm sorry.
girl,
I just have to say it, bro. Sometimes drastic measures need to be taken in order to be heard. Drastic measures need to be taken in order to be heard. So if that means that I'm gonna fucking tear down this fucking monument for the lives of thousands of women
and little girls
and children, then I'm going to fucking do that. And I saw a video of the police of the capital, of Mexico, many police officers and stuff that were putting up barricading statues and barricading the Capitol. And there was a sign that said, "I wish they protected women this way." Ooh. Lord, that broke me to pieces, because just imagine that the fucking government would protect and barricade women the way that they do their precious statues and their precious Capitol.
That shit, by the way, that shit doesn't have no pulse.
No, literally.
Like, it's a piece of metal, by the way, if you guys don't know what a monument is, but like, it's ridiculous. They complain about these women raging, destroying things, But you motherfuckers are the ones that created that. You guys are creating this rage in these women because you're not doing nothing about it. You're just sitting up there in your high horse. Fucking, I don't know what the fuck y'all are doing. Doing lines. I don't know what y'all are doing up in there.
And you know what? And I don't give a fuck if you get mad at me for saying this. If you're someone who stays silent and you think that staying silent, you're staying neutral, oh no, baby. Your silence speaks volumes.
You are the issue as well. You're probably as worse as those people, especially if you know that there's something going on and you don't speak on it. You're just as terrible. And it's point blank period. But yeah, that's
a friend to all
is a friend
to none.
And by the way, if you speak up for women too, you're speaking for not only yourself, but for the other women that don't have a voice. So I applaud you for that.
For those children that were sexually abused or killed who didn't have a voice. For potentially your mother who didn't feel like she had a voice. Or your grandmother who was told que ella calladita se veía más bonita. That voice isn't just for you, but for the many women before you and for the women after you. Your children, your cousins, your sisters, your friends. But again, if you want to continue to keep your head buried in the sand, then do that. But, cada quien.
Pero cada quien. And before I close this, or we close this episode, I really want to close off with a poem that I found on TikTok. I feel like it hits home, but I think also we feel it as women and the other women that have unfortunately died because of feminicide. But this girl, her TikTok, by the way, shout out to her. Her name's Adriana and Saturno. So that's ANDRIANENSATURNO. That's her @ So just in case you want to go check her out. But she wrote a poem that says, Si mañana no regreso, búscame por todas partes. Tal vez me perdí en un museo de artes. Si mañana no regreso, encuéntrame en el cielo. Me verás en las estrellas, en Saturno y en tus anhelos. Si mañana no regreso, cuiden mucho a mis personas, que no lloren demasiado. Abrázalas si se desmoronan. Si mañana no regreso, quémenlo todo por mí. Te prometo que luché así siempre. Yo viví, no sé qué va a pasar, no sé si mi historia podré contar, pero si mañana no regreso, ayúdenme a cambiar a esta sociedad que por ser mujer un día me llegó a matar.
Sad. My God, no, that's so sad. It's so sad, and it really is the reality. Oh my God, dude, the fact that there's still people out there that see shit like this and think, oh, that could never happen to me.
Or you're being over exaggerated is my favorite one. Or just
wake up.
Open your eyes. Smell the fucking coffee.
Go outside. Smell the fucking smog of this ugly and disgusting but beautiful life. Because it's not all rainbows and sunshines. And although, yes, your life may be, others are not. And change won't happen until people finally decide to bring their head out of their ass and look around.
And stop being so scared. Because if we all come together, there's no stopping us. you know?
We will be raising awareness. And maybe my little post and my little shout out won't mean much. And
you might laugh at it even.
No, yeah, you might laugh and be like, okay, like, and I'm guilty of this as well, y'all. I told you I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I've seen something like, well, ¿pa qué lo haces if it's not gonna do anything? Why talk about it if nothing's gonna get fixed? Well, you know what? I've learned. Shout out Jenny because she's helped me with that as well. I've learned that maybe it won't. Maybe my post won't change the world, but you know what? By me sharing it, someone else saw it.
One person at least.
One person, and con una ya es ganancia.
Muchas.
So yeah, guys, that was today's episode. Calladita, te ves más bonita.
No.
But
no me veo.
No te ves más bonita, calladita. You don't.
Speak your truth.
Speak your truth. And if you or a loved one has been a victim of abuse, whether it be sexual, physical, emotional, verbal, know that you're not alone. You're not alone. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak your truth.
Even though it is scary.
It is. It's going to be a scary situation. But just remember that you're not alone. And that there are people out there who will believe you. There are people out there who will hear you. And I love you. And you're not alone.
We love you.
We love you. And my prayers go out to you and those people.
One more note before we go. I do want to mention that I'm not really sure when, and I can add this information to any post that we make, right? Because we make posts for our drop, our release, whatever. They do have a safe space here, a safe place that they're making in Midland. I don't know if it's already done. I don't know, but it's for women that are going through a domestic abuse, or have been through it and need help, or any kind of abuse. I believe that is your place to go. I will look into it more and add whatever information I can. And I also want to say real fast, I really want to give a shout out to these women, to my friends, her really close friends, that I saw, that really showed me, these girls are for the girls, like, you know. I believe her name is Alize Rodriguez. Shout out to her. Daisy, I believe is her name. Karen, and Jasmine, and another one of her guy friends that really showed up for her, Elijah. I personally know him, and I just think it was really awesome, and they stepped up to that, and obviously in honor of I love you, and wherever you're at, I really hope that you are at peace, and that when it's my time to go, I can reunite with you and catch up. And I love you long time. But thank you. I'm sorry, guys. We're over here tearing up, but yeah. Thank you for joining this episode. It was, I feel like, very emotional. Obviously,
Yeah.
The topics were a little triggering, and I don't want to.
So important.
Yeah, I don't want to say I hope you enjoy the episode, because it's not really like
It's not an enjoyable episode. Like,
obviously, it's.
Let's rephrase that. It's not a joyous episode. Like, this isn't an episode that you're gonna sit there and like kiki like our other ones. These are one of those like hard conversations that need to be had. However, I think you and I can both agree that we hope that you enjoyed listening to our take on the
What we had to
situation
say, yeah.
and what we had to say and what we had to offer on the topic. And yeah, thank you for listening in. Please do not forget to share and like and follow and listen. It matters. And remember, just like we mentioned earlier, oh, like one post, like, why are you going to post? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, as long as it reached one person, that's all that matters.
For sure. 2 more people, sorry, before we go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally cut you off.
No, you didn't. 2 more people before we go. I'm sorry. Ale and Bianca also. They rooted for their girl. So, but that's it.
And you? Shout out to you because you also rooted for that girl.
So great. And Nat too. She was out there with me. When by the way, no one. When my work would be like, you shouldn't be out there because you get in trouble. The fuck?
Where are they now?
Ooh, don't even get me started.
Oh my god.
But yeah, 1000% I would do that over and over and over. I would burn the city down for my friend Nat. I would burn the city down for my friend, my sisters, Jenny De La Rosa. I'll burn the city down for Samadhi, for Tiare, for Melissa, for Sandra, for Yaya, for any woman at that.
And for you.
And for you. I hope you guys enjoyed once again. Thank you.
And remember,
Pero cada quien.